Let's do the Fortinet one first. There's 2 articles in our news notes, okay? The first one is a new Fortinet CVE, which that's happened every week for the last 2 years. The second article is that Fortinet was voted one of the most trusted security firms according to Forbes. And the CEO felt the need to cash in on that cachet and make a little graphic. Top 10 out of 10 business services. There's so many tops.
It was like top 10 in healthcare, top 10 in manufacturing. The problem I have with all of that is it doesn't translate into what people are doing on the ground and the vulnerabilities and all of these different things. These things matter because I guarantee you there are a ton of CEOs that subscribe to Forbes, and it's going to be almost impossible for their tech teams to talk them out of acquiring Fortinet technology because of this.
This is CVE 2025 23369, which is GitHub Enterprise Server. You can impersonate users, right? So unauthorized access to user accounts, then you can elevate privileges, then you can compromise repos. For organizations who are going to pay for this type of repository software, it's going to be your crown jewel. It's going to be where your code goes.
Secrets as well, not just code and
secrets and CI/CD and all that good stuff. There is a patch, so this is responsibly disclosed, and you should patch your GitHub Enterprises. Looks like the BeyondTrust exploitation that was happening in the wild was also linked with Postgres. There's actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a Metasploit module that can exploit it. That's recently been published. So that's pretty cool.
That was quick.
Will they all pretty much still end up as Metasploit modules at some point?
I don't know. I felt like for a while things didn't get put into Metasploit, but now they do. But yeah, patch your Postgres as well as your BeyondTrust stuff.
The NSA director basically was like, we need to put the human back into AI. It's key.
Now AI is teaching people how to think. I still want people who think differently from AI. That's the subtext.
I hope that going forward, one of the things that will happen within the AI sphere is this idea of using better ingredients, meaning better data to do the training.
When you're looking at the world as a whole, diversity has to be part of that kind of calculation because it's part of who we are.
Patch your expensive rectangles, aka Apple devices. There were some really interesting flaws, and these require physical access, but there's flaws in the USB restricted mode, which is basically like how your iPhone decides whether it trusts something you plug it into. You know, now there's CVEs for them, but patch your iPhones and iPads. The Doge website being publicly exposed. Yeah. So again, this is an interesting one because they don't really disclose the technical details of exactly how.
It isn't just about the access, it's about the integrity of the data moving forward, right? If you're trying to make policy decisions from potentially tainted data sets, I don't even know where we go from here. Man who SIM swapped the SEC's X account pleads guilty.
He figured out who the SEC's account holder was, made a fake ID from them, walked into AT&T's retail store, purchased an Apple iPhone, purchased a SIM card, and then basically that's how he did it. It is terrifying that with a fake ID, you could just go take over any phone number.
For those of you who may be a little newer to information security, Bruce Schneider is a godfather of security. About 10 years ago, he came out with a book titled Data and Goliath about government vacuuming up large amounts of data and what it's doing with it. And the registrar came back to him and said, hey, your book is now 10 years old. Is anything different? Is anything better?
Love that quote. In 50 years, I think we'll view these businesses practices as we view sweatshops today.
I hope so. I
sure hope so.
What he does in there is he basically says, listen, we gave consumers a choice. Share your data. We're just going to use your data, click on this opt out if you read further enough down on the screen. And he's basically saying this movement to rely on consumer choice failed. It failed miserably. It's a call to action to get more federal or a federal privacy law that's been updated since, the last privacy law wasn't updated until 1972. I mean, some of y'all weren't even born yet. So I didn't read it as optimism. I read it as a call to action.
Join us for live InfoSec news every Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Black Hills InfoSec YouTube channel.